ChristianGeekCentral.com.
Do you like games? I like games. Do you like games too? I like games too. I like games too.
So I was actually drawn to the Game Boy because, if I remember correctly, because I ran out of role-playing games to play on the Super Nintendo. Not long after Final Fantasy III, I think I played Chrono Trigger and loved it. But I mean, there was times where I was like, "Oh, I don't have another game to play," and I was only playing RPGs at that time, and still mostly do just play RPGs. And I discovered that if I wanted to play more Final Fantasy games, I was going to have to go to the Game Boy. So I eventually bought a used Game Boy, tracked down... actually, Final Fantasy Legend 2 was the first game that I played in that series, and then 3, and then eventually I went back and played 1, which is what I'm going to play now, and I don't think it's as good as the second one or the third one. But man, this was great to have on family vacation, stuck in the back of the car playing my Game Boy, cross-country during the summer, Final Fantasy Legend 2 and 3... Oh my gosh, great memories. Wow. The funny thing is, these actually aren't Final Fantasy games. They're like Saga something games in Japan. And once again, just to market themselves better to the stupid Americans, they renamed it Final Fantasy Legend. And you know, you should have been able to tell that something was up. Because you got these humans, and then mutants are the ones that do the magic in this game. But it's like, really? They're called mutants? They've never been called mutants before. What the crap is this? You know? And then you can also be these monster characters who, if I remember correctly, you know, you can start out as a Clipper, Red Bull, Were-Rat, or Zombie, or whatever the crap. But as monsters eat the leftover, like the meat of monsters that you kill, they change into different monsters. So you've got these mutants, and you've got this mechanic of changing into different monsters as you eat, you know, as your monster eats something, you know, that are not in any other Final Fantasy game. And it should have been like a huge red flag, like, hey, something fishy here, you know. And even after this game was made and sold, you would think, oh, okay, maybe they'll start using that in the main console Final Fantasy game. No. Anyway, all right, we'll go with human male, and as I almost always did during this time, I will name him Merrick if I have enough letters. Although, before publishing Spirit Blade, I always spelled it CK. In Spirit Blade, I at the last minute changed it to KK because that was more futuristic. So I guess I'll go KK this time. Oh my gosh! I only get 4 letters, so I can only name him Mary. No, that's dumb. Crap, I'm trying to name him. I always hated that about the original Final Fantasy games. Yeah, I can remember a lot. Holy crap. Last time I played this would have been high school. Wow. I'm an auditory learner. I tend to remember better what I hear than what I see or what I do. So if I learn something through doing it, I'm more likely to forget that than something I learned through hearing. That's why I always freaking feel behind with all the crap that comes with running an online endeavor. Because I'm constantly doing and having to learn new things, and then when I come back to it a few weeks later, I'm like, okay, now how did I do this? Oh, that's right, and your weapons wear out too. I mean, there's so many mechanics of this game that are so freaking different from Final Fantasy games. It's insane. It's insane that I would ever have thought this was a Final Fantasy game. Door is locked by magic of black. Oh man, not black magic, magic of black. So you know it's really mysterious. Can you see my cracker? And again, you look at the combat here. You're not seeing the side view with your guys on one side, the bad guys on the other, and then you see them giving out their attacks and stuff. No, you're seeing this much more like Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior, depending on your frame of reference, type of setup for battle. I mean, it should have been so obvious to me that this is not a proper Final Fantasy game. But I still enjoyed them. I really did, you know? Gob is talking? Oh, Lord, you look, oh, what is wrong? King Armor. I'm in love. Ooh, who is the lady? She's a girl who lives in the south, but she wouldn't accept my proposal. I see. I may be able to help you for a reward. I'll give you anything you want. Your kingdom and your firstborn child. I mean, these graphics aren't even quite as good as the graphics of the original NES. But I mean, because it was on a smaller screen, you didn't really notice that. And man, the novelty of having a portable video game system that could play games that were, you know, functionally as complex as any NES console game. That was, wow, that was huge. That was huge. But it took a while before I could get one. I mean, I didn't, like I said, I got one used and I got it late in its life cycle. That's kind of the Franson way, it's the Franson cheap gene. We never get new cutting-edge electronics as soon as they come out. I had friends, I mentioned I was in the Phoenix Boys Choir. So jealous of them. I mean, they had, I think, parents that were far wealthier than mine. I was raised by two public school teachers who don't get paid crap. Certainly nothing close to what a teacher deserves for what they do. And yeah, I'm biased, but I do believe that's the truth. So I mean, they couldn't afford all the new kind of toys and gadgets and stuff like that, so I can't remember when the Game Boy came out, but it was late in its life cycle before I got one myself, and I had to buy it myself, save up my money, get a used one, which I still have. It's up in my old antique consoles box at the top of my bookshelf, where I keep my broken Super Nintendo and my Atari. This is the town of Hero. A statue of Hero is in the center of the town. A statue of Hero? That's funny. I wonder if his name was Hiro in Japan, H-I-R-O, and the translators thought, oh, they must mean hero. Da-da! Or if it means, like, you know, hero, it's a common name. I don't know. You would think it would be a statue of the hero, a statue of a hero, statue of Hero, and pay my ridiculous price to get healed. Oh man, that sound effect. It's so bringing back memories of me at home or on the road, crouched over my Game Boy. But anyway, these other guys in the Phoenix Boys Choir, when I was like in 6th and 7th grade, we would be going on local, you know, gigs or whatever I guess you would call them, concerts and gigs around Phoenix, and we'd be on a bus, or you know, on the summers, you know, there'd be longer tours. You know, the longest tour I took was to Australia. We were gone for a month. And I was so jealous of these guys that had Game Boys. You know, oh man, what a world that they were living in, to be able to play that Game Boy on the plane or on the bus or whatever. My time didn't come till high school. Alright, I really loved these turn-based JRPGs. And I loved them the best when they were limited, when the technology was limited. Because when you're looking at these little sprites, and they're saying outrageous things, or sometimes they'll do some little sprite cutesy thing, you know, you can choose to interpret a lot of that how you want. It doesn't have to, in your mind's eye, be over the top and all Japanese anime. You know, you can just assume it's kind of like emoticons, you know, when you're typing something into a chat or whatever, and you use these emoticons that are like these extreme kinds of expressions, and you're just trying to communicate a more subtle, emotion, but you use these emoticons, which are these really strong, depictions of emotions. As graphics got better, they didn't tone down the representations of these emotions and these characters. And so the characters seemed to become more and more over the top. And that's when I started having trouble with the Final Fantasy games. And certainly when voice acting got into the mix, that's when it all just went south, because you can also do the same kind of interpretive thing in your mind when you're reading text, instead of listening to some rushed voice actor who has one session to blurt out all of these lines and doesn't have time to perfect them or do nuance, and he's got directors telling him to do crazy things, I'm sure. I don't know whose fault it is, honestly. It's why we get some really bad translations from particularly the PS2 era of voice acting. So I can make even really awkward lines work in my head. Maybe partially because I'm an actor and I'm a creative type, I can find a way to make that dialogue work better in my head than this actor is going to, with the limited time he has to make choices that make sense in a very crunched recording session. A few years ago, I got a DVD. This is when I was kind of thinking about, what might I potentially want to do alongside of Spirit Blade Productions, and doing some voice acting was something that I considered, and so I got a DVD that kind of talked about, interviewed a bunch of actors in the business who'd been in the business for a while, and talked about their experiences and what just the realities of that life are, and I wasn't seriously at all considering that. It was just kind of I wonder, maybe I'll learn a little bit more about it. But after watching that DVD, it's fascinating, entertaining. I should pull it out and watch it again. But it basically was no, that's not the life for you. You don't want that life, These voice actors are paid nothing. And as someone who doesn't pay his voice actors, I can confirm that. But I mean, even games being produced by big studios and stuff, unless you have been in the business for a long time and you are a crucial character that's the main dude, you're getting paid so little. And so many of those voice actors will also take jobs, doing anime translations, localization. They'll do free gigs, as supporting actors or whatever, just to kind of get their foot in the door. And so it is they are paid so little, and they have so little time to really do the things that an actor would want to do with their performance. So really, I still can enjoy quite a bit some of these old turn-based RPGs because I like the turn-based element, and because I like the lack of voice acting.
Enough of this game. You probably got bored of it a long time ago. I'm having a pretty good time.
Alright, next game up. Oh, okay. Moving on to Super Nintendo now.
ChristianGeekCentral.com. Do you like games? I like games. Do you like games too? I like games too. I like games too.